Going guys, I'd like to do a review on the Juiced. I believe it's a Rip Racer. Yeah, Rip Racer. And I believe this is the 52 volt, 15.6 amp hour model that goes, it's supposed to go 28 miles an hour. Single speed. I've had this bike for quite a while now. I actually bought it for my kid to be able to ride around because it has a throttle. He was asking for an electric dirt bike, and I felt that was a little too aggressive. I wanted him to be able to use it in our neighborhood without people kind of getting upset with him riding around. And so it comes the e-bike, and he's liked it so far. I would say one thing that I really like about this bike is the speed, the power of it. It really does have a lot of power, even though it's only got a single speed um, or single gear in the rear, single speed. It does have the power to keep you moving forward. If you put it in eco mode, it's very smooth. There's no concerns. You can put a kid on there all day and have a ton of fun. This seat goes up and down quite a bit. So this is how I tend to ride it. I'm 6 foot. It's not the most comfortable. I do have to lean over a little bit, but it works well for me. Um, my child, he is 10 years old, a lot shorter than me, and he typically puts his seat all the way down and is able to ride the bike with no problems. So with the seat down, this is how I sit on the bike. Get the seat up. And don't get me wrong, you can adjust it all the way in between as well. But with the seat up, this is how I sit on it. So it's not necessarily bad. Let's see if we can get that all the way to the bottom. So it's not too bad as far as the stretch or the leg goes, but I will say I would like a little extra in there that I can't get out of it. So let's put that down. All right, what are those? Let's say, see how many miles I have on this. I have 343 miles on it. Bought the bike used, and I think at the time, whenever I bought it, I think it had like 20 or 30 miles on it. So I've basically ridden about 400 miles. Um, right at 400? Yeah, 300, excuse me. So I've ridden it about 300 miles. And so far, I would say the sentiment with this bike is if you want a bike that you can just pop out of your garage and go right to the store or something like that with a backpack on and get you, a snack or a drink or what have you, this is a great bike to do it. You can get out on the road and it won't quite go 28. It says it'll go 28, but I'm 205 pounds, about 6 foot. And this bike with me on it, if I put it in race mode, which not all of them come with race mode, but this model in particular comes with race mode, um, I can get about 26 top out. Typically, it's about 24. I would say 24 without a doubt all the time, but I can go a little bit faster if I've got like a wind, a backwind or a downhill. But going uphill, this thing pulls 20, 21 miles an hour with me pedaling. If I put a lot of power into it, maybe I could get, somewhere closer to 22, 23, but I'd have to be riding really, really hardcore to be able to get up the hill like that and be pulling on the throttle. And it's not always comfortable or easy to do. One thing that I like and I don't like about the bike is the fact that it's very wide. And as a result of it being very wide, rather than a typical bike where I'd be like this, I'm more like this. And as a result of that, it feels very different in the way that you're going up and down its pedals. Um, sorry, we got 20 moving here. Yeah. So that's one thing that I've noticed with the bike. It is heavy as a result of not having gearing because I can't shift. I don't have that, um, how do I put this? I don't have that ability to refine the amount of difficulty whenever I'm trying to go up hills or something like that. A lot of times with this bike, it's either on or off. I end up having to turn up the assist. So I would like to ride the bike around on an eco mode or one, right? Typically eco mode. But if I ride it around and I go up a significant hill, whenever I'm in eco, it's not that the bike won't give me the power to go up it, but it's just I end up going up and I would like a little bit more range in the gearing so that I could maybe shift, one or two cogs down so that I could get a little less stress on my knee. That's one thing that I have a problem with is not just a result of this bike, but in cycling in general, I get stress on my left knee. This bike ends up aggravating my left knee sometimes whenever I ride it. Typically, I could just, turn up the assist level and I wouldn't have that problem. But I don't love doing that. I like to get some exercise out of it. I don't want to just turn on the juice and just ride the bike, even though you can do that. And I have done that. Typically, when I go to the store, I have this really, really tall hill that goes for a ways on the road, and we like to go up that fast. So I end up turning all the way up to race mode and going up, and then I'll turn it down to like 3 whenever I'm on my way back. Other than that, I would say on the website and on other videos, promotional videos, they show this thing being ridden a lot more aggressively than I would say that someone should ride it. It's a very heavy bike with this wheel and tire package. It's very stable in the sense that like it's not going to fall over or anything like that once you get it going. But because of that, like for instance, I've come off of a curb one time, not even going fast. I was coming home from my kid's school event. I went hit the curb, or kind of leapt off the curb. And when I did that, I don't know if it was a result of the weight of the bike or the spokes or something like that, I ended up having a tick in the rear wheel, and it just kept popping. And I think what it was is one of these spokes got loose as a result of me, popping down that. One thing that it will make you believe is that it has, some sort of suspension up here. Whenever you look at this in the marketing, it looks like it kind of has suspension. It does not. This bike is really firm. It does not have a whole lot of give. You would think that these big beefy tires would have a little bit of give, but if you put like 24 to 30 psi in there, it's pretty firm. I'd say you have to go down to like 20 psi, which then ends up, wearing your tread a little bit more for it to be more of a cushy ride. Uh, Another thing I do like is the lights. The lights on this are very bright. I do like the fact that this light is directional and it ends up moving with the front of the bike. I do like that it has a rear light, and that rear light, whenever you hit the brakes, it turns on, and it's kind of like showing people that you're hitting the brakes. But whenever you're not hitting the brakes, it just it has like it's still on, but it's not as bright. It's kind of like you would see on a motorcycle or a car or something like that. I really like that feature. The battery, excellent. I don't think I've had a situation where I've ever really ran out of juice. This is truly a bike that if you're just riding around your neighborhood or, poking around to the store or something like that and not riding significant miles, I'm talking about like if you're riding 10 miles a day, you can probably ride this thing for a week without having to charge it. Um, Now, that is if you're not putting it in race mode. I'm talking about like eco or one, possibly even pushing it up to three, pedal assist three at times, but majority riding in eco. This thing is fast enough. I think it does exactly what most people need. The brakes are very adequate, though I will say over time they've gotten a little bit more squishy. That doesn't mean that they won't stop. It just means that, they're a little less responsive than they were whenever I got them. I do like these grips. These grips give you a little bit of relief on your palms whenever you're riding, but they twist. They twist all the time. So I end up finding myself majority of the time when I ride this bike, ended up twisting these back to where I can rest my palm on it, and then sometime later I end up realizing that they moved back down, and I have to move back up. And I mean, you can get lock on grips and prevent that, but that's just one thing that I've noticed with the stock bike. Um, let's see, what else? One thing I had to do is I had to get like a zip tie to zip tie these cables, kind of in place up here to this bar because I did feel like they kind of moved around a lot. And at times they would get caught with the light. Like I would end up going full left or full right and it would get caught. But I just put a little zip tie here, right here to the neck, very close to the neck, and I don't have any issues with that anymore. The seat is not comfortable for me. I feel like it's more so for someone that's much smaller than me, a teenager, which I believe this bike was actually made for. Maybe somebody who's like 180 pounds, this seat would probably be very comfortable for them, around 5.5 foot to 5'10". But for me as a 6 foot individual, it's borderline too small, and it is pretty firm. I do like the fact that it has this little holder right here where you can pick it up and move it. Um, yeah, let's see what else. Well, so one thing that I will say, this bike is very heavy and it does stop, but when you get it going, you have to be prepared to stop. I've tried to make some emergency stops every once in a while, and there have been a couple of times where with these big round tires, that I ended up having to do a slide stop, and it worked, but I was a little worried that it wasn't going to stop. Uh, Albeit that was probably my own fault. I was going too fast coming up to a stop sign and contemplating running the stop sign just because there weren't any cars coming, and then all of a sudden a car shows up last second. Um, yeah, that's about it. I would say I have considered getting a rack for this on the front. I haven't done it yet, but there is a rack that you can mount up here. I did consider at one point in time getting a rear rack that at the point when which this bike was originally marketed, it said that they could end up, but you could ride double. You could ride somebody on the back. I couldn't find that on their website. People say that it exists. You can probably find it and put another individual on the back there. I've never done it. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have very many complaints about the bike. I will say it is bike used. I bought the bike for about $600. It's every bit worth that. The original price I think was $1,200 or $1,300. I don't think it's necessarily worth that. $900, which they were on sale for whenever I was originally looking for this bike. If you get the upgraded version that has race mode and all that, definitely worth it. The one that doesn't have that, has a 10 amp hour battery, doesn't have race mode, I'm not sure that I'd go after it. It's not that the motor isn't powerful enough or the battery isn't enough or anything like that. It's just for this style of bike, I would need it to go 28 miles an hour so that I would get enough use out of it, poking around to the store and stuff like that. And it's not that much more expensive. Pay the extra $300 to get the additional computer set up to where you can ride closer to 28 miles an hour, really like 25 miles an hour, and just have a lot of fun with it. If you guys found this video helpful, give me a like. If you want me to do any testing with the bike, or if you want any additional information, post a comment below. I'll try to get back to you either in the comments, or I'll try to post a subsequent video. I will say, if you're looking for a bike that can both work as your bike to run to the store and your kid's bike to be able to ride around the neighborhood with their friends, and you want it to be electric and you want it to be quick enough with throttle, I'd say that this is probably one of the better values out there, the Juiced Rip Racer. All right. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time.